Today's episode is supported by the Pittsburgh Book Fest, paging all readers. Book it to the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh in Oakland on Sunday, May 30th for the 5th annual Pittsburgh Book Fest. Created for book lovers by book lovers, this free event features programming for all ages. Hear from award-winning authors like Stephen Rowley, Catherine Newman, Daniel Kraus, John Scalzi, Meg Medina, and more. Learn more and register for free at pghbookfest.org.
Today's show is sponsored by Liberty Magic, Pittsburgh's premier speakeasy theater dedicated to the art of elevating magic. This time, they're bringing in a hometown magician, Paul Gertner, and his show, Steel City Miracles, is a love letter to growing up here in Pittsburgh. Each trick performed in the show is an original from Paul, and he's widely recognized as one of the best sleight-of-hand magicians in the world today. And if you want to ask Paul questions about magic or just want to get nebby about his favorite Pittsburgh sports, upgrade to the Skeleton Key VIP experience for seats in the 2 front rows and an exclusive meet and greet after the show. Steel City Miracles runs from May 21st to May 31st. Get your tickets at trustarts.org/magic before they disappear. This is CityCast Pittsburgh. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. County Executive, as we're recording this, it is election day. How did you vote this time? Last time you were so excited about the drop-offs.
So, yes, today we're recording on primary day. I went and voted in person. So
Did you?
I moved to Wilkinsburg in September. And so this was like my first time like registered at my new address, and I got to go vote in person, and everyone who works in the polls lives on the few blocks surrounding me. So it was a good vibe.
That's great. Did they know that you are their new neighbor, or were you like turning heads as you went in and out?
No, they were funny because they were like, we're telling everyone that the county executive lives in our neighborhood. And I was like, that's great.
Yep, it has its perks. You're going to know
Yeah.
if something's messed up. You can call in a thing if needed.
Yeah.
I'm with Sara Innamorato, obviously. Let's talk about paid parental leave because, gosh, y'all just dropped a big old proposal. For anyone who missed out, please explain or maybe debut for a few people what is in this policy and why you thought it was so necessary.
So, sure. So what the Board of Health just voted on for public comment is an updated paid sick leave that also includes 18 weeks of paid parental leave. The bill is silent on the size of employer. It would be, everyone who's employed in the public or private sector. This would apply to them. It's pretty general right now. So the Board of Health voted unanimously to send it to public comment. So right now is the time where we have public health professionals, academics, business leaders, small business owners who are kind of have the opportunity to comment on the policy. So we're going to be taking a look at all of that over the next, once comment closes in 30 days and looking at, what kind of edits we want to make. But, right now, it is the most consequential thing that we can do to positively impact infant and maternal mortality and morbidity here in Allegheny County. So we're excited to take this first step in the whole process. We would be the first county in America to kind of lead on an initiative like this.
Okay, I knew we were the first in Pennsylvania. I didn't know it was all of
Yes.
America.
Yeah, so so San Francisco has their own parental leave policy, but they do have a statewide one.
There's a bunch of states that have them.
Yes.
We don't yet. The Pennsylvania House did pass a bill this year, but
Yes.
TBD on our Senate.
Yes, exactly. So they have a more, I would say, robust family leave policy that also includes caregiving. If you have a child that gets sick, if you have an older parent that gets sick, it covers time off.
California does?
No, the bill that was passed in Harrisburg through the House on a bipartisan basis as well. So this is a policy that's extremely overwhelming, overwhelmingly positive support. We have to figure out the details. But that's why it's introduced, and that's why there's an opportunity for the public to comment at this time.
And there's going to be a public hearing on June 2nd at 5:30. So look out for details for that. Why 18 weeks? What was it about that number that struck you as being the way we should go?
So right now in Allegheny County, we collect, our health department collects a lot of data around, individuals who've recently given birth, and only 42% of women who are giving birth here in Allegheny County have access to some form of paid parental leave.
That's more than I would have guessed, to be honest.
Well, yeah, and that could be 6 weeks paid, 6 weeks unpaid. So that's some semblance of getting some money. But that means 58% of people who give birth are either heading back to work right away because they can't afford it, or all of their leave is unpaid. And we know, I think it's the fourth trimester is a pretty, is terminology people that are pretty familiar with. So it's the first 3 months of birth is it takes time for your body to recover, for you to bond with your baby. The other aspect of that is also mental health. And, it's postpartum depression. It's strain on new families, figuring out how to take that new mental load of taking care of another tiny human. And so we also know that kind of best practice is around 17 weeks to prevent postpartum and kind of mental health distress. So we really said, let's go for 18 weeks. There are businesses locally that offer that. Let's start there because we know that's best practice in these respects when we're talking about physical and mental health of both family unit and mother. So, let's start there. Let's get reactions. Let's see what the experts want to weigh in on, and, let's help businesses of all sizes figure out how they can support an initiative like this.
Do you get the sense that small businesses want to support it? I'm thinking about the rollout with the paid sick leave policy, and there are so many supporters, at least on social media and on the internet. It seems like there were probably just as many people who did not support. I don't know, critics. I don't know. What are you hearing from folks at this point?
I think it's, the policy itself of paid parental leave is overwhelmingly popular. Many major employers, larger employers, like the county, we offer 12 weeks paid leave. That was something we started not too long ago, probably about a year or so ago for all our employees. Many other large employers offer 12 weeks plus. So many of these companies have figured it out. Now, I think philosophically, there's so many nonprofit leaders, small businesses, people who work in academia who really support policies like this. But when it comes down to the details, they are also fearful. I think they're struggling because they support the policy, but then they're also fearful that they're like, how do I make it work? And so what we're doing is really gathering the information on, insurance products and federal tax credits that exist, and really, doing education with industry groups and small business support teams to say, here's how it can work. I think there was this same kind of visceral reaction and maybe conflicting reaction for many people who want to care for their workers, but also want a successful business, where they felt the same way around paid sick leave. And then paid sick leave was implemented and people figured it out, and no businesses went under because of paid sick leave. So we feel the same about this, but, I think we have to do our work as the county, and bringing resources and information together to people who run businesses that make our economy go across the region.
I want to believe, like you just said, that people want this, that they want to take care of their employees. I don't know that that's true of everybody. So how do you convince them? Or is that the whole point of a mandate?
Well, I think, that's why we take the public comments very seriously. And you're not going to get 100, public policy making is not about getting 100% of people on board, but it's about getting the majority. And it's also about creating space where there can be disagreement, but there's also discourse. And so, we have met with the conference, we have met with business leaders. We will continue to, create slide decks and go to our industry groups and talk about, here's how we can make this work. And we might not convince 100% of people, but we might convince a few. And then they work as models of saying like, okay, we're early adopters. We're going to figure out how to do this. And then, we're going to learn from them. And other companies want to be competitive. And, we're actually in many ways leveling the playing field so that like small businesses, if we can figure it out for them and how to make it work, then, when people want to start their family, they don't feel like they have to go to like a PNC or, a major employer that offers really generous paid parental leave.
PNC's is 18 weeks, right?
18 weeks for the birthing partner. So for the the person giving birth, they get 18 weeks. And then I believe the partner gets 8 weeks is their internal policy. But yeah, it varies. I mean, it's also a great exercise in just getting an understanding of who offers leave and who doesn't. I was really surprised that the county didn't have some sort of kind of universal paid leave that was anything of substance. And so it was really important for me as a leader to implement that for the people who work for me, because I view it as a talent attraction and retention strategy. And it is much harder to have to go out and hire talented people, find the people, hire those talented people, and then keep them employed than it is to just say, hey, let's give you some time off so you can bond with your child and, support your family and be a whole person. And then you can come back to work and give like your best self to the people of Allegheny County. Like that's how I view it. And I think, we have a lot of good like economic data on like this impacts women. Like if women don't have leave post giving birth, like they tend to leave the workforce more than women who do, right? And so we're living in a time where we have a low unemployment rate. It's lower than the national average. So we need people off the bench and participating in our economy, and they should be able to participate in the economy on their own terms. So we need to remove the barriers for that participation. And most people, when they don't have access to paid parental leave or childcare, they end up leaving the workforce. That disproportionately ends up being college-educated women. And so, that is a very valuable skill set for our economy that is not participating in helping to grow our overall GDP because they are forced to stay home and care for their children, which is very important, but unpaid labor.
I think you can't overstate the healing component of it too. Like it took me weeks after the birth of my child just to be able to support my own weight and walk again. And CityCast, in full transparency, only offers 13 weeks. So 18 sounds amazing to me. But I think it is maybe worth stepping back here because, from your first moment in office, like first action, you raise the minimum wage for county employees. So $15 or $18, depending on what they're doing, but like a raise across the board. Then sick leave, now parental leave. Plus, I know you also launched this Forward with Families initiative to get 5,000 more childcare or out of school time slots opened up to county families. Taken together, this sort of feels like a line of demarcation. And I guess I'm wondering if you see it that way.
Yeah. Well, I think go on this ride with me.
I'm in. I'm strapped. Okay. I'm ready.
Buckle up. So if you read, I know you're out there reading the Home Rule Charter, and for the county, it talks about the county executive being like kind of like this chief growth officer and like thinking about how to grow our regional economy, how to grow our population, really how to stimulate our economy. And a critical component of that is population growth. It's keeping people here. It's attracting people here. And many people point at markets that are growing, like places in Texas and Salt Lake and Durham and, these areas. And if you look at like what they're doing, it's not only are they, landing big economic development opportunities and, creating jobs. But they're also putting in all of those factors around quality of life and like highlighting families and the importance of families. And so for us, we have been absolutely laser focused on like investing in targeted site and sector development. We've put $15 million of new money. The county economic development did not play in the way that we're playing now in economic development deals, in job creation numbers, in aligning with workforce, in supporting our community college. Like we are doing the classic economic growth strategy and we're seeing results. We're creating jobs. We're bringing new industries in. We're supporting legacy ones. We're doing all of that. The other side of the same coin of growth is also supporting quality of life, is also supporting the family unit, whatever your family looks like. And so this is an attempt to say, like, yes, we're going to focus on those investments, and also we're going to focus on our investments in people. This is part of our growth strategy. It's about saying, this is a great place to raise a family. This is a great place to start a business. This is a great place to get a job. And it can be all of the above.
I mean, no knock on your predecessors, but like, I feel like they talked a lot about the economic development piece. I very rarely heard them talk about the family component, which is crazy considering how many children Rich Fitzgerald had.
A lot, and they're great.
Yeah, the ones I've met, all of them great. Today's episode is brought to you by Steal Hers Social, presented by UPMC Magee Women's Hospital. Y'all know, if you listen to the show, I am a huge sports fan. I am always down to chat with women who love football, who love the Steelers, just because, first of all, y'all have such strong opinions and you make them heard in male-dominated spaces. So if you're looking for that kind of community, mark your calendars for Steal Hers Social on May 28th. It's taking place at, of course, Acrisure Stadium, and you'll get the chance to peek into the locker room and run through the player tunnel, get access to all these behind-the-scenes spaces. There's even a player meet and greet and an opportunity to hear from women in sports. They've got raffles, giveaways, face painting, bingo. If you like to get crafty, make sure you stop by that button and bracelet making station. The event is open to women and girls of all ages, and as a CityCast listener, you get a $5 discount on the $55 ticket. Use code CITY, C-I-T-Y, and buy your tickets now at universe.com/stealhers. That's steal, H-E-R-S. Today's episode is supported by the Frick Museum and Gardens. You can't talk about Pittsburgh history without considering steel magnates like Andrew Carnegie and Henry Clay Frick. And whether you are a history buff or just starting to explore this era, visiting the Frick Mansion, aka Clayton, is a great way to really see some of those stories up close. The Frick's Gilded, Not Golden tour takes you into Clayton House and back to 1892, which is the year of the Homestead Riot, an assassination attempt on Henry Clay Frick himself, and the year that the Frick family was mourning the loss of 2 children. The tour really digs in to topics like wealth, inequality, labor, and so much more. And even if you've been before, Gilded Not Golden is great, and their tours are really special. Each one gets updated to highlight new bits of the house that maybe you hadn't even thought of before. Plus, late spring and early summer are the perfect time to visit Clayton because after your tour, you can wander the grounds, really take in nature. It's such a beautiful space, and when it's freezing outside, sometimes you may be rushing from A to B. No need to do that right now. You can sip on an iced drink from the cafe and check out all that's special about Clayton in Pittsburgh's East End. Tours of Clayton run Tuesday through Sundays. Get tour tickets and learn more at thefrickpittsburgh.org. CityCast Pittsburgh is sponsored today by Window Nation. Summer is just around the corner, and I don't know about y'all, but I reserve my love of heat for Bloomfield Beach. Once I am home, I want that sweet, sweet AC. Keeping an air conditioner running can be a big expense, especially if you've got old windows in an old Pittsburgh house. You don't have to live that way. Check out Window Nation's Buy 4 Windows, Get 4 Free sale going on right now. So replace all the windows in your house and get half of them for free. Window Nation says they custom build their products so the windows will fit your space perfectly. Plus, you'll get your choice of over 1,500 styles and colors. And the windows come with a lifetime warranty. And they swear by the installation that it all goes down in 1 day or less. The sale ends soon, so consider putting an end to your window problems. Schedule a fast, free consultation now at windownation.com. All right, let's talk about some other things. How was your NFL draft?
Wow. My draft experience was fantastic.
You got the good seats. I kept seeing like stories of you like over off to the side. You got to go onto the stage. You were not down there in the pit with the plebes.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. It is, a benefit of being on the host committee is that I got to see like behind the scenes. It was great. I was really pleased with everyone who attended. Folks took public transit. Thank you all. I hope people have started a new habit. Maybe it was the first time they took the bus and they want to take it again.
I hope that's true too. I was blown away. It was like driving around like in COVID times, like no one was on the road.
Yeah. So it showed like when we really think about a transit strategy deliberately, when parking is really expensive, it kind of drives people to use the public transit, which is great. And we heard really great feedback from people. No one acted a fool. There was no like increased 911 calls. There was like one arrest the whole weekend or something like that. It was really low, low impact to public safety. And I think people had a great time, and everyone who came from out of town who experienced Pittsburgh for the first time, I think were really pleasantly surprised. So yeah, we were really happy with how it went. And of course, we want the numbers. So we'll get those tax receipts in June to really understand, what the economic impact was of the draft in the short term.
The economic impact and the bill, are those like kind of like part of the same conversation?
No, not necessarily. We know like the county through tourism dollars that we control, the $3 million was committed to the draft. It doesn't exceed that amount of money. We will make that back. And this is dollars that are already earmarked and have to be used for tourism-based activities. So we'll get the numbers back for drink tax, sales tax, and hotel tax. And that's, they all are dedicated funding streams. Like they don't go to our operational budget. They go to, sales tax goes to the RAD, the Regional Asset District. Drink goes to funding transit, and hotel goes to our tourism pot of money. So we're excited to see those receipts. And then there's also like longer term kind of like squishier economic development benefits that I think we'll realize over the next months to years. So like the governor and I, we hosted a breakfast where we had some of our local CEOs there, and we hosted site selectors from around the nation and kind of gave them a taste of what Pittsburgh has to offer. And yes, we talked about how the state and the county work really well together when it comes to our economic development programming, but also really just got to highlight the quality of life that people have here. And like, it's beyond cost of living. It's also like around parks and arts and culture and the intentionality around preserving affordable housing and the work we're doing around childcare and, just like giving people the lay of the land. And the weather really cooperated. So we were just like, it's like this every day in Pittsburgh.
You just lied straight up. Like, yeah. Yes, beautiful, sunny, 70 degrees every time.
Yeah, every day. We love it here. Talked about our work on transit and multimodal development. Like it's this, we got to give people a flavor of our region, and, people were really impressed. So, that can pay off in the long term. So we're also, hopeful that the folks we got to host in Pittsburgh and show off will come back, this time with a lot of money.
Yeah, I had not thought about the draft being like an opportunity for like a site selector brunch. That's hilarious. Like if you've ever had to go to like a conference or something for work, like you know it, or like even sat through one of those timeshare things, like you agree to get a nice hotel room, but you do have to sit through the 2-hour spiel. I love that that was a thing that we did. Like, yes, you could come to the NFL draft. That's great. But while you're here, please come to this brunch.
Yes. And all we had to do was deal with like a couple Cowboys fans, you know, like, and we survived, you know, it was all right.
We persevere. I mean, it sounds like we've already gotten some good news out of the draft. There's the new hotel from Lowe's coming here. Seems like a boon, 500 rooms, luxury amenities. I'm kind of blown away because I feel like the city and the county and the state have been talking about wanting this for 20, 25 years, like since the convention center was built. I think you and I were children, young adults. Like this has been a long time coming. What changed? What is different now that makes this possible in a way that it has not been before?
Well, I think one, my administration took the kind of ask and like stopped theorizing about it and talking about it.
I like that you're like, me, said, like, I happened. Well,
I mean, we took initiative to lead the conversation. So obviously we had a hotel that was interested in engaging in the conversation.
Did they come to us? Did we come to them?
It's always been a possibility.
They were always invited to the brunch?
They were always invited. So we were able to lead on those negotiations. And I also think it's just the relationship that we have with the state. You know, we work really well with the Shapiro administration and DCD Secretary Rick Seiger. Like, we work very closely with them. And, you know, we worked well with the previous mayoral administration. We work well with this mayoral administration. So, like, it's also that alignment that's helpful where, you know, people aren't really the fight, you know, you're all like, okay, like, let's make this happen. How do we make it happen? How do we make sure we get the best deal for the public? Like, you know, really thinking about that. And for us, you know, we subsidize SEA's operations for the convention center. So for us, like a hotel, you know, could help, you know, offset the subsidy that needs to be provided just to keep the convention center going. So, you know, for us, it's also the long-term benefit to our bottom line. So, you know, we were able to get to, yes, documents are going to be signed soon and then construction will begin. It'll be all union job, which is great.
I heard someone say, speaking very hopefully, that they were thinking like, this was an official, bless their soul, that there might be reservations as soon as 2027. And I was like, my brother, I don't think that's coming. Like, that's so fast.
2027 is not that far away.
I know. That's what I'm
very
just like,
close.
I don't think we're building a hotel over a cityscape in a space of a year and a half. But I appreciate the hopefulness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess was there anything different put on the table with this, or is it just literally a reprioritizing? Like, we've always wanted this. Let's actually make it happen now.
I think, you know, we took it seriously, and I think we came, I say we, the county. So I came with, you know, the tools that we have and said, like, we're serious about this. How do we make it work? And we also had a partner in Lowe's who also wanted to play ball, and they want to be in our market. So, you know, it's not just like, well, let's give you everything that you've ever asked for, but like, let's have a real conversation.
Yeah.
Let's negotiate. We're not going to negotiate against ourselves.
And I assume that's like tax incentives and things like that. Is there anything else that was on the table?
No, for us. So, I don't want to get too wonky, but essentially there has been tools since the convention center was built. In the hotel tax, there's like a 2%, it's 7%, 5%, and then a 2% that equals 7. That 2% was always there to be used to build a hotel attached to the convention center.
Has it been stacking all this time?
No, it's been used for other purposes,
okay.
But like that was the intention behind it. So we were like, we have this tool. It has not been utilized for its purpose. Let's utilize this economic development tool that the county controls to really say, like, let's put together a competitive offer. And, you know, again, and we had the conditions were also right. Like we had a partner in Lowe's who wanted to also have the conversation on what we could do. And they asked for more than what we give them. You know, like it's a negotiation.
There's
So,
always horse trading. That's just
yeah.
part of the game.
Exactly. So how could we both get to yes and it happened? Or it's like us get to yes, but then, the state stepped up and said, here's what we can do. And the city obviously needs to be supportive because they'll do the permitting and they have a couple of the SEA board seats. So
do you have any sense of a more realistic timeline for when you think someone might reasonably get to check in or check out one of these luxury amenities?
Probably 28. I think 18 months minimum for construction, once it starts, but we don't even have that, the paperwork all needs to be signed. And then you have to have the permits and then you have to break ground. And I think once you break ground, then it's probably 18 months or so. That's being pretty optimistic. So
yeah,
that's looking at, 2028.
I love it. The cranes just came down in the lower hill and now we're about to pop one back up in the middle of downtown. Let's go.
But it's also, there's going to be a big ballroom and that it's just attractive. It's going to help us secure more conventions because we're losing conventions because our space isn't big enough. So it's also going to help with that. So I just want to say,
are we consistently booking out? That was a question I had too. I don't have a sense of how busy we are as a convention center. Are the bookings popping off and we need this extra space?
We could be busier if we were bigger. That's kind of the answer.
Can you build on to a convention center? Is that a thing?
Well, that's kind of what's going to happen. It's going to be connected. There's going to be a lot of space to utilize within the hotel. So it'll be more attractive, absolutely, to larger conventions. So that'll be nice.
Any other infrastructure projects that you're really excited about? We're talking about downtown, and I feel like they've gotten all the attention over the last few months. Is there anything else that you're stoked about elsewhere in the county?
We have a big old county, 130 municipalities, and a lot of interesting stuff going on. So we just broke ground earlier in May on Neighborhood 91, Part 2. And so Neighborhood 91 is an advanced and additive manufacturing site that is on airport property. And so we're doing the next phase of that. So it's going to be our focus in our economic development department has been on clean technology and advanced manufacturing. So this next iteration of Neighborhood 91 aligns with that vision. So we just broke ground on that. And we hope to announce our tenant. It's a homegrown tenant from here very soon. We're waiting for some financing to finalize for that. So that's really exciting for us. The strategic planning we're doing in the Mon Valley. So the Mon Valley has had, over the last 5 years, something like $150 million put into it. And this is money that flows from county economic development into projects across the Mon Valley communities. And I think if you would go and talk to people in the Mon Valley, they would say, my life is not materially different because you've put $150 million here. And so that really spurred us to say, let's have a special focus on the Mon Valley as part of our comprehensive plan to say, how do we align these resources? How do we get communities to think regionally around, what is in play in the Mon Valley? And we really think it's a great place to kind of reactivate some of the old industrial sites with new advanced manufacturing, building on clean technology and green energy. But in order for that to happen, it doesn't happen by accident. We need to be strategic about it. We need to work with local municipalities. We need to align our resources, though limited, in a very strategic and smart way. So that kind of coming together around a shared vision is something we're really excited about. The possibility of building out. We're really excited about EOS's expansion in the north of the county. So that's going to be over 700 union manufacturing jobs here in the county. So
yeah, because they were in Jersey before, right?
Yes.
Love beating Jersey. Love it.
Jersey. F you. We got them. So we got them back from Jersey into Nova Place downtown. So their headquarters is in the city proper. And, us to cut the ribbon on that new manufacturing site, which will be probably in the next year or so.
It seems like as a county, we have a lot of space. Even like the population estimates that, keep getting readjusted, restudied, the ones for like the 5-year estimate just came out. It seems like a through line is like, yes, our population is going down a little bit, but our opportunity is actually maybe greater than a lot of places around us. Does it feel like there's momentum to do something with a lot of those resources?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think we're building on a lot of the momentum that will lead to job creation, but it's hard. It's hard to grow a population, especially here in Allegheny County, where we are one of the oldest counties in America, the oldest county in Pennsylvania. And, for us, it's just like, that's why we're focusing on the family component. We're focusing on job creation. We're focusing on being friendly to families. We're focusing on, like, despite the federal climate, like saying that we are a welcoming and inclusive place for immigrants and refugees. And we need you here to, be a part of our community and our economy. So, all of these things help lead to growth. And you really can't get to that ultimate goal if you don't have all those components in play.
Yeah, I mean, and just to kind of clarify what I said there, like the county is declining slightly, like in population. I think it was estimated at 25,000 people over the last 5 years, but that's because in large part of what you said, that we have so many older folks that people aren't being born or moving here at the same rate that folks are dying. But on the flip side, the city of Pittsburgh slightly grew, like slightly. And so are places along like I-79, like in Washington County and Butler County. So it's interesting to see how all of these puzzle pieces fit together to try to incentivize folks coming here and what kind of ripple effect that might have years from now,
Yeah. And I think, we are already starting to see the negative consequences of the way that this federal administration has approached immigration because
for a while, that was the only thing that was helping our population. Like immigrants were the ones that made it possible for Allegheny County to even stay neutral, let alone not lose. And that's not a thing anymore. And that's only talking about last year, let alone the effects of what's happened in 2026.
Yeah. So we're still seeing net positive growth when it comes to foreign-born individuals moving in, but it's not as high as it has been in the past. So, that is going to have consequences that is going to extend, I think, further than this administration will be in power. So, that's an unfortunate reality that we're going to have to deal with. And again, trying to compensate extremely by talking about families.
Trying to compensate by compensating. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Trying to, work more strategically with employers. Like we have so many people who come and get educated here, but they don't stay here. And some of that has to do with businesses. They need to take responsibility. They need to offer internships. They need to be willing to hire interns after they graduate. Like, our business community needs to do that. As an economic development agency, we're thinking about like, okay, there's all these companies that start here, but then they grow elsewhere. So how do we make sure that they want to grow here? So we've been, working on sort of some strategic partnerships with, CMU is turning out a lot of companies and saying like, okay, what do you need to stay here when you're in your growth stage. So there's a lot of conversations and that are leading to a lot of action, a lot of tools that are helping to reverse those other trends and keep college grads here, keep the businesses that are starting from our universities here, and just, be an attractive place where, people want to move to.
To that immigration piece, I feel like I'm hearing less about ICE in the news lately, but I haven't been sure how to read that. Like, are they doing less here or are they doing the same things more covertly? I'm wondering if you have any sense of Allegheny County and its relation to like the federal spotlight and immigration right now.
I've felt the same way, right? We really haven't had a lot of alarms raised to my administration. I think I will say, while maybe activity with ICE has died down, the fear that exists with communities of immigrants and refugees is still very much present. And, that fear leads to, kids moving to virtual school and people not going to work, folks not shopping at the grocery, like the local Latin grocery store that they used to. So we do have to think about that despite there not being headlines in the news around ICE raids, that there's still very much a palpable fear that exists for many of our neighbors. And so we still need to, do a lot in that space to say that we support them, we welcome them, that we're happy that they're here, and, not let this create a false sense of security.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always torn, is it that there are fewer atrocities? Are they getting normalized so people just don't talk about them in the same way? Or is it happening less? And I don't have the answer to that. It sounds like maybe you don't either. We will switch gears here. There is another county proposal turning heads right now. So in the fall, county voters are going to get to decide whether they are going to enact term limits on county council and the row offices. So we're talking about controller, district attorney, treasurer, sheriff. They would all be subject to the same term limit that you are. So 3 consecutive 4-year terms. Do you support term limits for your colleagues?
Okay, so I do have a little bit of a mixed feeling about term limits. I will say in the executive branch, I support them. And I think that would apply to the row offices where term limits can create healthy turnover. I think when you're talking about the legislative branch, term limits get a little more tricky because we've seen in places like Michigan and their state legislature, so in both the House and the Senate, they have term limits. And what ends up happening is that people kind of cycle through the House and the Senate, but you don't really get the traction to do the bill and get it passed. And then what ends up happening is that outside groups end up writing a lot of the legislation and moving a lot of the legislation because it takes time to figure out how to build the coalition and move as a legislator. So I'm a little less excited about it when it comes to the legislative branch because I think it can cause long-term problems. Now, at a level like county council, they're not, there's some legislation that comes through council, but they're not a full-time body. It's a little different than if it would be enacted at the state level, but kind of all in for term limits when it comes to the executive branch.
We have kind of dynasties in Pittsburgh. Some of the folks that are in office right now have been there for over 20 years, our district attorney. And there have been others over the years. Yeah. Any scuttlebutt about how Zappala's feeling about this?
You'd have to ask him.
What about the summer? It has been blazing this week. Is there any one thing you're looking forward to? Like America 250? Could be anything.
If you're a Nelly and Third Eye Blind fan, so calling all millennials, there's going to be a concert, which is, people are excited. I mean, it's the summer of Nelly.
Yeah, I didn't really have a hot shit Nelly on my bingo card for Pittsburgh in 2026, but here we are.
A friend bought me Country Grammar on vinyl, which I thought was really funny, only because we were talking about this being a Nelly-centric summer.
Mm-hmm. No, I something from Country Grammar gets quoted in my household at least once a month. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Sara Innamorato, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you want to read up on what exactly is in this paid parental leave proposal, we will drop links in our show notes. It is for birthing people, it's for partners, it covers adoption and permanent legal placement. It's for unionized employees, so go check it out. And there's also a tool on the county website that helps you find childcare and activities for your kids where you live or work or along your commute. It's really cool and part of that Forward for Families initiative. Also a plug for that. Support us by becoming a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. We are always accepting more friends in the neighborhood. You can find the details at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow with more from around the city. We'll talk to you soon. Is 5 a lucky number for you? Like the 500 housing initiative and the 5,000 slots in 5 years. Is that a thing?
It's becoming a thing, unintentionally. But yeah, we had it as like 5K for kids. And then we were like, that sounds like we're running for children, and we're not running. No one has to do a 5K. You don't have to run at all in order to participate in the initiative.